Hello dear viewers and welcome back to the channel. This is Maverick bringing to you episode 18 of the original Steinsgate. So, for the last two episodes, we basically explored Suzuha's and Ferris's endings, right? So, it was mentioned by a commenter last episode, this is sort of like how the visual novel routes would go in terms of the different girls. I actually did have that kind of feeling watching it as well, but I forgot to mention it. So, again, I guess this is probably what happens, sort of like the turning point between choosing whether or not you want to continue on the route with a certain girl or not. And in the end, Okabe just chose to reject both of these routes. I actually went back and looked up the endings of these girls using, because I believe people said that we don't get to see their endings actually in the anime. So I went and checked to see what would be the conclusion if you went with either of the girls. With Suzu, I believe what happens is you go back with her to 1975 and then live on your life there. With Ferris, eventually they enter a world line where none of the others exist, and so Okabe just settles down and lives the rest of his life with Ferris as his lover. Honestly, I'd say, having Ferris as your lover for the rest of your life isn't a bad choice, if I'm entirely honest. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the bickering with Kurisu, I love the cuteness of Mayuri, but Ferris, in terms of her aesthetic and appearance, is probably the one that attracts me the most. But anyways, I was mentioning last episode in regards to sacrifices, right? Well, I guess it's sort of the same thing, except it's more, you're still sacrificing something, essentially. You're sacrificing the chance to end with these other girls, right? It's still a certain, cost, if you will, of trying to continue to save Mayuri. Speaking of which, though, I mean, looking at it from a visual novel perspective, it's obvious there's only going to be one true ending, right? That's normally how these light novel things work. Unless Steingate actually has a harem ending, which I don't believe it does. I haven't checked, but I don't know. I'm assuming it doesn't have one. And the interesting question then becomes, I mean, of course, all the other girls probably have endings as well, like Ruka and Moeka probably has one. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe she has one. But I'm assuming that the true ending is probably either with Kurisu or with Mayuri, right? And I'm actually not quite sure which one it is. My instinct is telling me Kurisu, especially because, there's this whole newcomer versus childhood friend angle. That's also kind of a trope and whatnot. And I don't know. It just seems that they work well together, right? They have good chemistry with each other. But at the same time, Okabe seems to really, really care about Megushi a lot. So I am not entirely certain on this back. My instinct is telling me Kurisu, but I could be wrong. And don't tell me, by the way, please. I'm assuming that this is probably a big spoiler for the potential ending of the anime. And speaking of endings, actually, so a quick heads up for you guys, I'm going to be on a business trip for the entirety of next week, so I will not be able to do my scheduled uploads. Now, in lieu of that, I will be actually watching episode 18 through episode 22 of Steinsgate and, releasing them periodically throughout the week. I'm choosing to stop at episode 22 because I'm still not quite entirely 100% sure how I'm going to proceed with the anime after watching episode 22, right? But we'll talk about that when we get there. For now, it's Ruka's turn to shine. And so let's see whether it's him or her. I mean, if it's going to be a ending road, I'm assuming it's going to be a choice between letting Ruka remain a girl or turning her back into a boy, right? At least that's what I would presume from this whole ending nonsense and whatnot. But let's just see. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, he has to turn her back into a guy. But this is probably not the best way to do this. Okabe, use a little bit more tact, dude. Alright. You know, not that there's anything wrong, right, in 2019, if someone wants to choose Ruka's road and wants him to remain a boy. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that normally people who play visual novels probably would rather prefer to end up with a girl instead. Okay, man. Now they're gonna gang up on him. Yeah, now he's gotta explain the whole situation to her again. No. Yeah, why couldn't he just... I guess he wants to have a resolution with him, her. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. Flag. Okay. So, well, I'm assuming that since most of you guys are fans of Steinsgate, you probably already know what flags are. Just in case you don't know, though, flag is normally a term used in visual novels where, you know, when you raise a flag, it means that you're setting off to a certain road, if you will, a certain route. So like there's the progressing the plot flag, or there's alternative ending flag, death flag, stuff like that. So once you trigger a specific event, then the subsequent events happen as well. Oh, she wants to be a guy? Go on a date with me? Okay, even more. Really? No, she's a girl in this timeline. Aw. Poor Luca. And first. uh, is there really no harem route in Steinsgate? So go on a date with Kurisu instead? uh, fake ones. Wait, Kurisu is actually. uh. Of course, Daru's playing a Eroge. Wow, coats are always clean. Right here. Nyan Nyan Cafe. These two. What are these guys doing? Ruka probably can't do that. This translation. Oh my god. Oh. Uniqlo. Ooh, dang. Of course. That was coming, right? uh, even the naming conventions. So then you can say, I just got here. Dang, Ruka is cute. Oh. I just got here. uh... Yeah, why is she so upset about that? And now the awkwardness begins. I mean, it's pretty clear where this is going, but... uh... I'm surprised it didn't actually use like some kind of wireless communication device or whatnot. Really? I mean, there's a reason that Rika likes you, and it's probably because of how you normally are. Oh, Darrow, I don't think she's really wanting to help. But even though she's... Hmm? Wait. To Ueno from Akihabara? That is quite far. Oh. Hmm? Okay, so this was in the original timeline. Wait, but then it would be different words in this world, right? Okay. Yeah, so she's getting back her memories as well. Hmm, okay. So I'm wondering, did the original world line realized Ruka wished to be a girl so that he could be with Okabe? Hmm. Right. Hmm. Oh. What the hell? What? And so they're gonna be like, this is something they can do regardless of whether Ruka is a boy or girl. But Kongu. Hmm. Aww. All right. Alrighty, that was quite the entertaining episode, right? It was definitely cliche, right? They used a lot of these kinds of tropes. Like, I've seen my fair share of rom-coms to know where this was heading. Nothing particularly different about the situations. It was definitely all expected, but still fun nonetheless, right? And it does give a sort of breath of fresh air to the otherwise really sad and depressing few episodes we've had to go through so far because of all the, sacrifices and sacrificing the different routes and whatnot of the different girls. And I also thoroughly enjoyed Okabe's interactions with Kurisu this episode as well. It's these kinds of interactions that makes me believe Kurisu's road is the true ending, if you will. But again, don't spoil me on that part. And speaking of ending, so I actually went ahead and looked up Ruka's ending in the visual novel as well, like what would actually happen. It's, I guess, kind of dubious, if I say so. In the previous two, for Suzuha and for Ferris, at least Mayuri's ending is left sort of ambiguous and more implied happy ending, if you will. But here in this one, it's quite clear that Mayuri still dies on August 13th or 14th. And so that's the price of choosing the Ruka route, right? So, yeah. And talking about sacrifice, so I mentioned also last episode and this episode as well, it's, the sort of the price of trying to keep Mayuri alive is in sacrificing these other girls' route as well as the things that they want, right? However, not to be a jerk or anything, but I feel like Ruka in this case sacrificed a lot less than Suzuha and Ferris, comparatively speaking, right? Because Suzuha went back in time, where she, and then she died early, right? Didn't retain her memories of many of her friends and whatnot until it was too late. Didn't accomplish her mission. Well, in one timeline she accomplished her mission, but still she died early, right? And that is her fate. If Okabe right now wants to continue to save Mayuri. Last episode with Ferris, her sacrifice was, you not only sacrificed the chance of being together with Ferris, but she also need to sacrifice her dad still being alive, right? In this case, however, for Ruka, even if Ruka still remains being a girl, it's not like it's 100% that Okabe would be together with her, right? And not to mention, for one thing, it's fairly dubious to me to really switch your genders just for the fact of trying to get together with someone. And not to mention, if you really wanted to do this, there's still, we have the science for it. If that's truly what you want, you can do it, right? So I don't know. I just feel like, comparatively speaking, her Ruka's sacrifice wasn't quite as weighty, if you will, compared to the other two. Now, again, don't get me wrong. It's still a sad situation for him as well. It's just comparatively speaking. But anyways, so this one is, even though it does have some tie-in with the main story, it's still more of a side road, if you will. Now the next one is presumably going to be Moeka, and now that one is really going to be interesting in how it fits in with the main story, especially considering who Moeka is presumed to be, an agent working with CERN, or maybe some other kind of backstory to her as well. We'll finally learn probably what the elusive FB is, definitely not Facebook, I'm guessing. And probably learning a little bit more about the overall backstory of this series as well. So I am looking forward to that one. So this has been episode 18. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned. Bye bye.